Scooby and I are back for the final time to finish off our Red Shirt Shaggy ranking. If you're new here, hello! This is the final installment of a little series that I've been doing. You see, there are 3 Scooby-Doo movies that came out around the same time that a lot of people don't like. In these movies, Shaggy is wearing a red shirt rather than his usual green one, so I've seen others refer to this as the Red Shirt Shaggy era, one of the darkest eras of Scooby-Doo. I have been making videos on each of the Red Shirt Shaggy movies to see just how bad they really are and ranking them from best to worst. Here's the current ranking. The Ghoul School is in first place, and The Reluctant Werewolf is in second. Today we'll be tackling the final movie, Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, and deciding where it belongs in the ranking. I know that I've seen this movie like once or twice before, but I didn't really remember it. After finally watching it again, I can see why I pushed it from my memory. To no one's surprise, it is a rough watch. But is it better or worse than the other Red Shirt Shaggy movies? Will this one come out on top as the least bad? I haven't enjoyed any of these movies, so the bar is pretty low. Join me and find out on a scale from bad to more bad where the Boo Brothers falls. Now, normally I like to give a little synopsis on what the movie is about before I jump into the rest of the video, but this movie is honestly just insane. So many random things happen in rapid succession that I felt like I was getting whiplash from watching it. There is no way for me to just give a little short summary of the Boo Brothers. It's too hard. I'm just gonna have to explain the whole thing to you, so let's jump into it. So the movie begins with a beautiful opening song.
Very kooky, very spooky, Boo Brothers. Boo Brothers.
If you couldn't tell I was being sarcastic before, I'm sure you can now. Shaggy's uncle, Colonel Beauregard, bear with me. I don't know why that name is so hard for me to say. Let's try this again. Shaggy's uncle, Colonel Beauregard, has died and left him his southern plantation. So he, Scooby, and Scrappy are heading there. They get lost on their way there, and Scooby sees a gorilla.
The monster!
Oh no, you and your monster!
I don't think I will ever get used to how out of character Shaggy is in these movies. They get directions to the plantation from Sheriff Busby. He tells them that the place is haunted and they should stay away. Then he gets a call on his radio informing him that a circus train has derailed and one of the apes has escaped. Alright, well, that explains the gorilla. The sheriff takes off and the Scooby crew heads to the plantation. However, the second they arrive on property, a bunch of ghosts start to chase them. There's a headless horseman, a wolf, this guy who looks like a soldier. Once inside, they meet the Colonel's old butler, Farquaad, who will not stop doing this annoying laugh. Farquaad wastes no time telling Shaggy that he doesn't like him because he thinks that the Colonel should have left the house and its treasure to him instead. You know, Farquaad, I can think of at least one reason the Colonel didn't want to leave it to you. But yes, he explains to them that the Colonel has a bunch of jewels and treasure and it's hidden somewhere on the property, making Shaggy the rightful owner.
Manservant to the Colonel, these 60-odd years, and rightful owner of this place.
Speaking of the Colonel, he looks just like the
Like the ghost?
Yeah!
Hold on. This is implying that Shaggy doesn't even know what his uncle looks like. When was the last time he saw him? Do they even really know each other? You're telling me that the uncle left his house and entire fortune to a nephew he never sees? Why is this starting to sound like the beginning of a Wattpad story? They decide that they're going to leave because there are just too many ghosts there, but then their car sinks into the ground. No one can come and get it out until the morning, so they're forced to spend the night. Who exactly do you call when your car just sinks into the ground? Like, that thing is gone. The trio can't fall asleep because there are so many ghosts. Scrappy finds an ad for some ghost exterminators called the Boo Brothers. They call them, but when they arrive, it turns out that they themselves are ghosts, and explain that it takes one to catch one. The Boo Brothers are definitely inspired by the Three Stooges. I mean, there's 3 of them. They do all the same wacky antics as them, and the most obvious similarity is the noises that they make. Personally, I find the Boo Brothers to be a bit annoying. That could very well be because I've never been much of a fan of the Three Stooges type of comedy, and the Boo Brothers are literally just them, but ghosts.
Oh, that felt funny.
Yeah? Well, see how funny this feels.
Anyway, this is when the movie really starts to give you whiplash. Things just start happening at such a quick pace, and I was frantically writing notes, wondering to myself how on earth I was going to explain this to you all. But I'm gonna give it my best shot, so buckle up because here we go. So the Boo brothers want to demonstrate how they catch ghosts, so they start chasing one around, which goes about as well as you would imagine it would for the Three Stooges. At some point, the gorilla shows up and starts chasing them, and everyone is running around. Somewhere along the way, they start playing music, and it turns into a dance party. Then the doorbell rings. Scrappy answers it, and it's their neighbor, Sadie Mae. She sees the party and comes in and starts dancing with Shaggy, who she thinks is cute. Her brother Billy Bob shows up and says that their family has been feuding with the Beauregards for years, so he takes out a gun and starts trying to murder Shaggy. Then the ghost of the Colonel pops up and tells them to leave. Now we're back to the siblings, and Sadie Mae tells Billy Bob to stop because she wants to marry Shaggy, which he's devastated by. The scene ends with Shaggy calling the police on Billy Bob. So, did you keep up with all of that? I sure hope so, because the rest of the movie is like this. Now why don't we watch the Boo brothers be annoying some more?
I'll give a fat eye, I'll give a fat lip. Ooh, ow! And a couple of fat heads to go with it.
What a bunch of ring-a-rings!
Thank you, Scooby. Truer words have never been spoken. They find a hidden note with a jewel. It's for Shaggy from his uncle. He wrote him a series of clues that will lead him to his fortune. They head outside to search for the next clue, but are chased by the gorilla, Billy Bob, and Sadie Mae.
Like I must be nuts, looking for knees on a house.
How about lips on a girl, honey?
Hey!
I'm a little afraid of Sadie Mae. They find the next clue at the chimney, but a skeleton pops out of it and tries to attack them. But have no fear, the Boo brothers are here to save the day. Sheriff Busby arrives to stop Billy Bob, but he's absolutely no help. The rest of the movie is basically just a really long scavenger hunt, broken up by either the trio being chased by someone or the Boo brothers being dumb. They get chased by the gorilla. Find a clue. Chased by the skeleton. Find a clue. Boo brothers act stupid. Find a clue. Chased by Billy Bob. Find a clue. Chased by Uncle Ghost. Find a clue. Since the rest of the movie is so repetitive, I'm just going to highlight the important parts. The first one being when Scrappy actually gets scared of something for once. Okay, is this actually important? No, but it is just so rare to see Scrappy scream in fear that this was kind of hilarious to me. All right, now time for the actually important stuff. They find some secret passages underground. Later, at the stable, they find the Headless Horseman, but discover that it's just an animatronic. Scooby rides it, but loses control, and it starts to chase the sheriff. He yells for Scooby to push the button and turn it off. Shaggy thinks it's weird that he knew the horse was an animatronic and how to shut it down. Back inside the house, the Boo brothers throw a party with all of their relatives. Shaggy kicks them out and fires the Boo brothers for being no help. They beg him not to, explaining that they're orphan ghosts, with no place to go, so they need the money. Shaggy takes pity on them and gives them one more chance to actually catch some ghosts. Then, they get chased by their own truck, which is somehow above ground now and being remote controlled by the skeleton. They think that the car must have fallen into one of the secret tunnels. After that, the gorilla steals one of the jewels they found. Scrappy tells it that if it gives the jewel back, it can ride on the animatronic horse. The gorilla happily agrees, and we never see it again. Truly a perfect ending to that plotline. Eventually, they find the final clue, which reveals that the treasure is hidden in the fireplace. The skeleton overhears this, pushes the trio out into open water on a sinking boat, and goes to get the treasure. The Boo brothers are finally useful and carry them back to the house to stop the skeleton.
There must be a lever here someplace. Aha!
Are you kidding me? There was this giant, obvious lever on the fireplace the whole time? How did Farquaad never notice it? He's lived there for years. That treasure could have been his ages ago. The skeleton pulls the lever, but gets crushed by all the treasure. Shaggy and the dogs unmask him, and he's revealed to be Sheriff Busby. He wanted the treasure for himself, so he pretended to be all the ghosts to scare everyone off. But then, an identical-looking sheriff with a mustache walks in. It turns out that he's the real Sheriff Busby, and this is just his brother, who likes to impersonate him. Okay, this is the most random and pointless plot twist ever. Did we really need him to be impersonating his twin brother the whole time? Like, that added nothing to the story. It is so out of nowhere. In the end, Shaggy decides to let the Boo brothers have the house, since they have nowhere to go, and donates all of the treasure to the Beauregard Trust Fund for Orphans. They head back home, passing the Colonel's ghost on the way out. So I guess he was a real ghost the whole time? But does that mean that it was really him telling them to leave? Because that contradicts all of the notes he left Shaggy asking him to find the treasure. Or was that the sheriff and he just happened to get a costume that's identical to the Colonel's ghost? You know what? Whatever, it's not important because the movie is over now and it is time to decide where it falls in the Red Shirt Shaggy ranking. So, this movie was not enjoyable at all for me. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I checked to see how many minutes I had left until the end. The whole thing is just a boring scavenger hunt with chase scenes and Boo Brothers nonsense in between. And said in-between moments would give me so much whiplash because of all the random stuff that happened. Like, okay, they got a jewel, but a ghost stole it. Then it disappeared into the ground. Then they find the jewel on Farquaad and steal it back. But then a different ghost steals it, and oh, surprise, it's Boo Brother time! Speaking of the Boo Brothers, even though I found them annoying, I actually don't think they were in this movie enough. The movie is called Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, but there would be such long stretches without them, I would forget they were even there. And in the end, all they really did was carry their boat back to the house. At least in the Ghoul School, the ghouls were there the whole time and helped out in the end. Then there's all of the pointless plot lines that go nowhere. The gorilla, Farquaad, Billy Bob, and Sadie Mae. They showed up and messed with the trio so many times, and then there isn't even a resolution to any of their stories. They're just forgotten about. Unless you count the gorilla riding an animatronic horse as a resolution. And lastly, the sheriff actually being the brother of the real sheriff is the dumbest plot twist ever. Like, what was that? It just came out of left field. Now, believe it or not, there are some good things about the Boo Brothers. For example, of the Red Shirt Shaggy movies, this is the closest we got to an actual mystery. Yeah, have any of you noticed the fact that despite the fact that Scooby-Doo is about solving mysteries, they don't solve any mysteries in these movies? Boo Brothers is the best we get when it comes to that. They're not trying to solve a mystery, but they notice some odd things as they go, and they actually unmask a bad guy at the end. This one actually kind of sometimes feels like classic Scooby-Doo. The other good thing about this movie is that Scrappy annoys me less than usual for some reason. I think maybe it's because he's the one solving all the clues, meaning he's the only one moving the plot forward, and the sooner the plot moves forward, the sooner this movie ends. So thank you for that, Scrappy. Also, I'm still obsessed with his scream of terror. But don't get too happy there, Scrappy. I still hate you. Alright, so taking all of that into consideration, where does the Boo Brothers rank? I'm putting it in second place. I didn't like it, but all the weird Whiplash moments, and there kind of being a mystery, makes it way more interesting than The Reluctant Werewolf. That being said, I still found the Ghoul School to be more entertaining and less annoying. So yeah, that is the final Red Shirt Shaggy movie ranking, bringing this little series to a close. I love Scooby-Doo a lot, but I really don't ever want to watch these three movies again. But I do hope that my suffering through these movies was worth it, and you all enjoyed the series. If there's other Scooby media that you think that I should make a video on, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to see more content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!